In this video, I want to talk about transitioning from one scene to the next and what you can do with your music to accompany the video. In the last video, I showed you how you could do a tempo change if you had a scene change or if you added another video into your video track. We had this video over here, and as it moved through, it went to another video where we decided on a tempo. I've done some slight adjusting. So there is a tempo ramp. It's going over a bar, and this new tempo in the new video file is set at 100.2.50 BPM. Now, let's take a look at ways that we can smooth the transition between this video. And I've written a quick rough piece of music. It's just a pad sound and a lead sound. So something very basic and minimal to accompany this video and just to use for demonstration purposes. So let me play through just the end of this video into the next so you can hear this new music. So it's just something more tranquil and a slower tempo to match the scene compared to the previous video where the tempo was a bit more up and was filled with more instrumentation. So it ends over here where there's this bar and there are some sounds that sort of tail off. But to smooth the transition, let's take a look at some things that we can do from a sound perspective to enhance the visual experience. First off, what you could do is have a sort of ending to this piece with some big hits and sounds that tail off that will sort of blend into the next. So if you just take a listen, I've just got a kick hit here. We could go in and enhance it slightly. So let's go into the kick. We've got the kick here. Let's find a sort of cymbal hit sound that can maybe add to it and enhance that hit. So I'm going to add a new track. I'm going to go for an instance of the drums, which is Groove Agent. I'm just going to find a sort of rock kit, something with some big cymbals in it. So Rock Pop Toolbox, the drums and percussion. And let's see what strengthen sounds like. So we've got a cymbal there. I'm happy with that patch. I'm going to play back and just record in a cymbal hit. Awesome. So there's that cymbal. I'm just going to quantize it so the timing is slightly better. And as you could hear, tails off nicely as that comes in with that music. Also, I could add some notes to the other instruments so that they sustain out as well over the cymbal. So let's take this pad sound, take it back to the root. It'll play on the 9th bar and then sustain out over to the 10th. Same with this piano, bringing the root. Now, a thing I just want to point out is that we are going from one key to another. So this is in B flat and it goes over into A minor. Now you'd have to do some modulating to go from one key to the next, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. I just want to show you some techniques that you can use, and you can take that further with using some music theory to modulate from one section to the next. So now let's take a listen. This is just simply with a cymbal hit and then some of the instrumentation tailing off. And watch the video to see how it now works with the one scene to the next. Yeah, that worked quite nicely. It actually wasn't too jarring going from that B flat to the A minor. It actually did feel like it was sort of giving some tension and then releasing. Because if you take a look at the piano, where's my piano? It is over here. So that last one is ending off with this chord. You got the B flat, then to the A flat, then the F sharp inversion. That's the chord that it ends off with. And you got the low note and the high note. And then the next section goes to an A minor seventh. So if we just take the low notes and high notes of each one, that's the end, and then resolves to this. So it moves up and moves down. So it actually works quite well. That was sort of accidental, but it's quite nice to know. So the one method is to have sounds tailing off with some sort of transition effect going between the two. The transition effect being the cymbal tailing off and the long tails of these instruments. That's one way of looking at it. Another way is that you can make something from smooth to a bit more drastic. When I mean that, I want this to end with an abrupt silence, and then it kicks into this. So let's take that out. Let's remove that last note there. This last note as well. Just to neaten things up, let's move those regions all the way back. Also, on these drums, let's not have those last hits. Now, just taking a listen back, there may be some sounds that are sent to the reverb that might be tailing off. So let's listen. Yeah. So those pads, let's go into that. So I want to cut out that volume of that sustain on that pad. So I'm just going to click here to reveal the volume lane. And I'm going to draw in a node point. Go to the selection tool. Maybe increase this height slightly. So that volume's going to go down there. And that guitar. So there is going to be the pad. And then where's the guitar? Let's check that out. Guitar lead. Same thing. I want to see the volume lane. Okay, node points. Bring that down. Zoom in. And then this last thing, there was a synth somewhere. I think it's Retrolog. So just make sure that everything is cutting out. That's also tailing off. And got a sustain. So there as well. Let's go in and draw in some volume automation points. Zoom up again just to make sure that we've got everything cutting off right at bar 9. So we got this. So that's one way at looking at it. I'm not saying that this way works. And it might work with different visuals and videos. But this is just a technique to use. So before we had that option where you had a smooth transition. Now the other way is to do this. Now that's quite sudden. Another technique that you can sort of enhance this with is to use a reverse. So you get this build up, this like effect. So what we're going to do is, is that cymbal. I'm going to record that in, and then I'm going to reverse it. So let's record that in. Okay, so let's reverse that. We're going to go into that sound, just quantize it. So with this track selected, I want to render it in place. So edit menu, render in place with the current settings. If you want to see what the current settings are, you can go to render settings. And here I want the complete signal, or I could do a dry signal. I don't have really any effects or channel settings on it, so I'm just going to leave it to complete signal. So let's render that out. So we've got this symbol here. I just want to increase that level. And then I want to reverse it. So this is under audio, processors, and then reverse. So now we've got this reversed cymbal. I'm also just going to mute that track, but the region is muted. And now I want to line that transient up with the end. I'm just going to turn off snapping to grid. And we've got something like this now. Maybe it is just a bit late. I'm just going to pan it slightly bit to the left because the sound is a bit more sitting on the right and I want it more centered. So there you go. That's two ways that you can go between transitioning between scenes. You can have one technique where you smooth off the transition. It's going from one music track to the next. They could be in different keys. And you're going to add some sound effects and change the instrumentation. So the one song tails off into the next. So it feels like a smooth transition into the next song and the change of scene. Then the other technique that I showed you, I don't think personally it's working with this, but it could work with the visual that you got, is where you go for a sudden drastic change in the music. So here we cut the sound out for a bar. There was a slight build-up with a reverse sound, and then it goes into the next music track. So I hope that gives you some ideas how you can work with transitions between scenes. There's many ways you can do it, but I find that these are two common techniques that I use in my music to video, and I hope that was helpful. Definitely test it out if it works out with the video that you're working to. Now, in the next video, let's take a look at how we can use some time stretching with audio to accompany our video and sit with the video that we're working with. Catch you in the next video.